Excuse me, get your elbow off the table. Where'd you learn your manners?
Him.
Hi, I'm Anthony Contrino. I'm a food stylist for The Today Show. When celebrity chefs stop by, it's my job to make sure their dishes are always picture perfect. And when I'm in the spotlight, I get to show the anchors a thing or two.
Talk to us about what we should be doing in the kitchen.
So I was asked to pick 3 of my favorite things. The first one is a cookie scoop. I use it for meatballs, crab
meatballs.
cakes.
Tonight, my parents are coming over for dinner, so I'm whipping up my own version of my grandma's meatballs. Once you try this technique, you'll never need another recipe.
Hey guys, welcome back to my kitchen. There are 2 things that every Italian American thinks that their family, usually their grandmother or nonna, makes the best. And those are tomato sauce and meatballs.
That's my gram. My father's mother made the best meatballs. I've made them with her as a young boy, but since she always made them from memory, I've never been able to cook them in the exact same way. I've spent years testing different methods, and this recipe comes pretty freaking close. I call them my almost grandma's meatballs.
Let's start by prepping our onion. Just gonna cut off the top and bottom, and I'm going to half it. Most meatballs do have garlic and onion in them. I think what I do is a little different. I'm gonna put them into a food processor. Next, I just need 4 cloves of garlic. If you're not a garlic fan, I am, so I'm cool with 4 big cloves of garlic. You can use 3. That did nothing. That's a very healthy piece of garlic. So I'm gonna puree this, which is kind of different than I think what most people do. You ever bite into a meatball and get like a chunk of onion or garlic? Not that there's anything wrong with that, but I happen to prefer a nice smooth meatball. So just scrape it down occasionally. I wish you guys could smell this. I always say this every time I saute garlic and onion or deal with garlic and onion, like why has no one invented a candle yet? So I'm gonna go one more time. Okay, that should do it. This is pure flavor, so make sure you leave none of it behind. I'm gonna clean up really quick and get the rest of my ingredients. So let's start with the main ingredient, which is obviously the meat. I like an all beef meatball. Let's start with our cheeses. I'm adding 2 because it's really hard to choose between pecorino and Parmigiano Reggiano. So 1/4 cup of each. The pecorino is gonna add a nice salty flavor, while the parm is gonna add a little nuttiness, a little more salt, and for me, a bit of umami. Next ingredient is breadcrumb. For me, it's Italian seasoned breadcrumb, the dry stuff that you get at the store. So we're gonna put a cup of this in. That's 1, 2. Let's get some salt in there. Doesn't need too much because we have those cheeses, and the breadcrumb also does have some seasoning to it. So that's a 1/2 teaspoon. About a 1/4 teaspoon of pepper. Now we'll add our wet ingredients. 2 eggs. About 1/2 cup of milk. So the milk's gonna add a little moisture. I believe it also helps, acts as a tenderizer with the meat. I may be talking out of my ass though. Last but not least, for some freshness, about 1/3 cup of parsley. So it's gonna go pretty fine. This is a tip that I tell people all the time. Purchase some disposable gloves. Keeps your hands clean. You don't have to worry about cross-contamination as much. I don't know, everything grosses me out. You don't want to overwork the meat. We just want to combine our ingredients. If you work the meat too hard, you activate like these proteins that can make it tough when you're cooking. We don't want that. We want a nice, tender meatball. And I'm really just folding it on itself, nice and gently. So believe it or not, some people like the sound of mixing this. I think it sounds filthy. Okay, so I'm just gonna flatten the slightest bit, get rid of the gloves. Ta-da! Manicure intact. I'm gonna throw this in the fridge for 30 minutes to an hour. That's gonna allow the breadcrumbs to hydrate a little bit and the flavors to melt. First thing I'm gonna do is line a sheet pan with some foil. While our oil is heating to 350, it's just some plain old canola or vegetable oil. We're gonna start scooping our meatballs. I love using portion scoops. You'll see how quick this happens, and they'll all be the same exact size. I'm just gonna scoop them all out to start, then we'll go back and roll them into meatballs. So make sure you use all your meat. You'll see that this is not enough to make a meatball. This is called the chef's special, which means I'm gonna eat it myself. I have a fresh pair of gloves that I'm going to use to now help me roll these. Now, roll it into a ball. And if you have trouble making balls, you could just do what my mother does, which is, she makes hockey pucks. Honestly, she's not allowed to make meatballs anymore. So we've reached 350. Using tongs so you don't burn yourself. Just add a few. If you add too many, these are cold, they were in the fridge. They're going to lower the temperature of your oil. So, no more than 5 at once. You're gonna let this go until we get that really nice hard sear, deep golden brown. It's only gonna take about a minute. Now that we flip these, just give it about another minute to get the other side nice and golden brown. Yes. Don't worry about putting these back onto the sheet pan where the raw meat was sitting. It's going in the oven. It's going to kill off any bacteria. Guys, my stomach is growling. I you not. This is very light on curses this episode. My oven is preheated to 375. We're gonna throw these in there for 12 to 15 minutes, just until they're cooked through. My parents are headed over for dinner, so I'm gonna get some pasta going.
Martha Stewart's not the only one who knows how to set a bougie table.
Come in. Bonnoy.
Hello, son. Is everything ready? We're hungry.
For the most part.
Okay, good. Oh, the meatballs. They look delish. Delish. I'm hungry. Bon appetit. I love that you have the bucatini for me.
Well, I mean, it's for me, but I'm glad you like it.
Gee, thanks. I don't know how I had you. Made to perfection. Very good.
Better than yours? No. They're better than hers, that's for sure. Nobody makes meatballs like Grandma made meatballs.
Yeah. May she rest in peace.
I'm full.
I thought you were going to have another meatball.
I am. And I'll be really full.